let's get it started once again. I started this conversation talking about where I've come from. This is like December, January-ish. This is the beginning stages of me sort of developing this project. And if you haven't seen the video just yet, go check it out. I'll put it somewhere, maybe, I don't know where I'm going to put this video, what platform I'm going to put it on, but yeah, just quickly. This is sort of the sketch up. This is where I started, and I'm just going to begin showing you all where, how this sort of came into, or how it came out of the virtual space into this sort of physical space for me. So, boom, booyah. Alright, so this is the installation. This is the physical imagery of the objects that are in the space. So, as I said before, I started looking at the porcelain a little bit differently, and so I manipulated it in a different way, and I sort of recreated and positioned it in a different way. And in this way, it kind of made more sense to me with that newfound history, or that new history that I had come to learn and know about through some of the peer artists and some of my colleagues. So with this idea of opulence, I really wanted to, like, sort of disrupt that, and in disrupting that, you'll notice that some of the pieces are broken and mended back together through this process called wabi-sabi. And this wabi-sabi process is just about, essentially the flow of life, and the flow of everything, and the flow of imperfection, and how imperfection creates, the reality that we live in, and how imperfection is also beautiful as well. And so in accepting that beauty, you allow the cracks to be a part of the process, a part of almost a visual dialogue that is incorporated within that process. And so for me, the breaking of the porcelain and putting it back together was this sort of process for me in renegotiating the history of the porcelain, the history of the opulence, and the history of that violence, and then that mending back together to create something new, to create something new, but something new that's also embracing that imperfection as well. And instead of hanging it from the ceiling, and hanging it from these golden chains, I'm placing it on the ground so that people can be able to walk through it. And when I show you the projection, you'll see the symbolism that I lay on top of it, which is essentially the bottom of the ocean. And that's what's laying on top of the ground itself, or being projected on top of the ground itself. And so essentially the porcelain and the objects are a part of the ocean, and have now been consumed with the ocean and returned to the ocean and returned to the earth. I have some other ideas around how to show the wornness of the clay, and how to return the clay after it's been fired in the kiln, how to return the clay back to a sort of deteriorated state. But with the other clay, with the red clay, instead of using glaze, I just sort of put it back into the kiln without that glaze on top, and to have that natural effect. And some of those are also placed back together with that wabi-sabi effect as well, or wabi-sabi technique as well. In addition to that, there's some worn off, like, metallic kind of like powder coat paint, which is a process of it's a process of like paint being, or this particular powder, this mineral, attracting to this electricity that is ran through the object itself. And as it is attracted to this electricity that is ran through the object, when it's placed in the oven sort of solidifies that color and solidifies that that powdered coat, and transforms it into this sort of like this paint technique, or this paint look, or this painted look. And this is oftentimes used with metal. But through a bit of experimentation, we kind of found out, and especially through the metal shop, I had started working with metal and welding.
It's 3:45.
And forging and stuff. And through that process, we were sort of experimenting with this red clay, because the red clay has iron in it. And so what is conducting electricity is the iron within the red clay. And so that's what the paint is sticking to. And so you'll see in this one right here that it is a different color. It looks like it's like metallic, and it's because of that paint process that was used through the metal shop. So those are the objects that were made with clay, and those are the objects that were made within ceramics. There's also the beads that are on the chain. I definitely wanted to just try it out, see how it looks. And I think I want to add some more, but we'll see how that goes. And at the ceiling, what I've envisioned as the sky is this abstract painting that incorporates the colors blue, brown, and like this copper color, and this copper color and this gold color. Again, this is not just like a flat color. This is a metallic color, because these are metals that have been mixed with this linseed oil, and all of this paint has been hand mixed with a muller. So I made all this paint and sort of created this vision, or this interpretation, or this depiction of the heavens. And so coming from the outside with a bit of darkness into the inside with the metallic, is sort of how I sort of interpret it. Like, this is how I imagine the heavens, and the heavens being something that is connected to the sky, but something that is sort of beyond that as well. Again, in that liminal space between those binaries, right? So you'll see some of the paint marks, the brush stroke, and this is why I did the abstract painting here. I really wanted the brush strokes, and the material that I used was like it's like from like coffee bags. Dang, what's that thing called? Canvases. It's like canvases. Dang, I forgot the name of it. Let me see if I can Google it. Coffee bag slash Google. Here we go. Let's see. Dang, what's the thing called? Oh, wait. That might be it. What is it? Nope, that's not it. Oh, it's burlap. Oh, it's burlap. Yeah, that's what it's called. So this is burlap. And then some of it is also just canvas. And this is all sewn together to make uh, one sort of canvas. I think the idea around that is just cut from a different cloth. I feel like there's this old saying or idiom, um, we not the same. We cut from a different cloth. This is all that was going on in my mind at that time. But like all these materials coming together is essentially saying like we come from a diversity of places, like a different locations, different materials, different backgrounds, soil, different landscapes, and that amalgamation of who I am is also a compilation of all those things. And in that compilation of all those things, on top of that is my vision for, who I see myself as, and the vision for how I see myself coming to this time and space, and in this nowness, in this present. So yeah, this is the painting. Again, you have the brush strokes that you see. That was really important to me. Yeah, I use a variety of different brushes, but being able to see my hand, being able to see my physical input in this vision was important to me. So yeah. Oh, and then coming from that are the strings that come down and then sort of attaches to these beads that you see here. Now you see this like copper. I was thinking about this copper, and this copper was sort of this kind of plasma cut that I was using. I was playing with, I was experimenting with. It was one of the things I was doing in the metal shop. I was forging and then also like welding, but nothing came of that, so to speak, within this particular project. Like the relationship didn't, make sense to me. It didn't make sense of the story, and as well as this sort of plasma cut, it didn't really make sense to the story as I sort of began to progress, and that was like sort of later on. So the time period of this particular process or this particular step of the process for me was April, May. So from January to April, May, this is where I've come. So I've turned these sketches into sort of real life, tangible things. This is what I've worked through my body with, and this is where I came. This is where I was. Hey. I need to make some music or something. So that metal process. Let me see if I can get a close zoom of that. That it's also like not Blu-ray, not Blu-ray, not Blu-ray. All right, so all of it's gonna be kind of blurry. So just here you can see like the reflection of the light, and so the metal itself, or the powder coat, is mimicking this sort of metal texture, and I really like that. And here you can see in this porcelain too, you see these gold marks here. Let's see, these gold marks are that crack, that wabi-sabi I was talking about. But it's not just here; it's also here in this as well. So I think as you explore the space, you explore, look around and stuff like that, you will see some certain things. But because it's only illuminated through the video projection, it's only but so much you can see, and so being able to show this part of the process is helpful to make those and connect those dots that you can't really see, or you won't be able to see while you're in the installation itself. So So this is behind the scenes. Pew, 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 pew. Okay. Oh, look. I have a close-up. So these are the beads. These are all handmade. This is actually hard. This was really hard. Yeah, because they were tiny. And I wasn't sure how it was going to shrink in the kiln. But I think it worked out really well. After a certain point, I like figured out I should make like a pattern, or like, yeah, I mean, that made sense only after the fact. I mean, this is how the best ideas happen, right? You just start doing stuff and you get to a place where you're like, oh, I could have done this an easier way. And like, so work smarter, not harder. But sometimes that hard work, sometimes that, going through the process is a part of the process. And so I'm grateful that I was able to go through that process before finding this pattern. And once I found this pattern, I was able to make, a tremendous amount more of those. So that was really dope. Or these particular pieces here, I really enjoyed the process of making those beads. And the beads came out really nicely. I really like them. I really like the sturdiness of it. I feel like that's one thing that I enjoy about ceramics. It looks so fragile, but once it's hardened in the kiln, beyond the bisque phase, you got a pretty solid object, especially if it's filled in that hollow, and that's what most of these objects are, filled in that hollow. Some of these porcelains are definitely hollow, but because I was using a slip and a cast kind of like process. Maybe one day I'll show you what that looks like, because I still have those plaster molds. Yeah. Anyways, and these net cups were press molded. Were pressed into a mold and pressed into a plaster mold. So that metallic look I was talking about is still kind of like blurry, but man, that junk look beautiful. That junk look like real metal, and it's not real metal, but it is real metal because it's iron, and the iron is attached to the powder coat. That's kind of cool. All right, well, that's that. Let's chill. Let's settle down. La 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 la. Okay. So you get a perspective of what the installation looks like when the lights are on. Okay. So I'm gonna just show you what it looks like when the lights are off. Minimize this just a little bit so you all can spend your eyeball energy. Okay, I won't do that. Your eyeball energy on looking at this, the way this sort of came together when the projections were in this space. So one of the videos, I'll start this video. One of the videos is showing with the lights off completely, and the other video is showing how people were moving through the space when I was having one of my critiques. So yeah. Oh my God, I forgot to mention the cowrie shell in the middle. That's like the focal point. It's like actually the most important part. The cowrie shell in the middle. It's like laid here in this pile.
It's 4 o'clock.
It's definitely about to pass. Yeah, I was really I felt some type of way about it, like a really good way, about how it all came together. And so I think I'm at a place where I want to stick with some of what happens here in this space. Just build on it. And of course, for me, what I'm building on is the projection